NFL training camp is underway. We got the training camp starts this week, so we're going to look at over the next few pods. We're going to break down each of the primetime games. So today we're going to start with the Monday night football games, which is for the season. We got the full schedule right there for us. So you all see the schedule right there. So let's break down each game.
Hmm. Uh, I think the games that immediately, could you put the schedule back up really quick?
Yeah.
The games that really pop off the screen to me so far, definitely week 8 between the Commanders and Chiefs. That'll be a really good game. Two really good offenses, an up and coming team against kind of the dominant team of our era. And then obviously week 10, Packers Eagles. It's a rematch of the playoffs last year. That should be another really fun game as well. Week 1 could be interesting because we don't know what we're going to get out of the Bears this year because the last couple of years I've been saying it's their chance to break out and it just hasn't happened.
Whoa.
So to make a statement week 1 by defeating Minnesota would be huge for them.
Yeah, I was gonna say that first week. I mean, there are high expectations for the Bears. Let's not get it twisted here. They had a good finish to the season, beating up on a playoff team of the Green Bay Packers on their home turf in -5 degree wind chill. I was there for that one. That was a thriller of a game if you're a pure general football fan. But that game is going to be interesting because it's the second year of Caleb Williams, right? His first year, he might already be the best Bears quarterback they've ever had, right? Just in 1 year, he's already trending in that direction. So is the sophomore slump going to hit like it hit CJ Stroud, who we're seeing in week 2? Week 2, Tampa versus Houston. Is Houston the real deal again? Are they going to be able to run it back with another AFC South division championship? And Tampa Bay, is this the year they're a Super Bowl contender? Baker Mayfield has looked like the Baker Mayfield, or hasn't looked like the Baker Mayfield of old, I should say. He is this new rejuvenated Baker Mayfield from college that we're seeing once again. He's been one of the best quarterbacks in football since joining Tampa Bay. That's going to be a nice matchup to watch because one of those two teams is going to be out to a 2-0 start more than likely.
So what I think the most appealing game on this entire schedule, I want to say, would probably be who I'll say two of them. I'd say that Eagles Packers game is going to be something to watch here in Week 10,
It's at
especially when
Lambeau this time.
right. So they'll be at
Mm-hmm.
Lambeau Field this time, and you know Packers have been in the playoffs for the past I don't know how long. So that's going to be an instant playoff matchup right there already, and that's going to have some serious seeding implications too, depending on how the seasons are going for both of those teams. And then another appealing game that really stands out to me is that Bears and Commanders game.
I was
We're
just
gonna
about to say,
we're
I
gonna
think you're
really
looking at that
see
one.
we're gonna really see who's the better quarterback, in my opinion. Now everybody's gonna be talking about the Bears did make the right move and taking Caleb Williams and things like that. I agree because the Bears were never gonna take Jaden Daniels. They were never going to take Jaden Daniels. When they were drafting, it was either Jaden Daniels. I mean, it was either Marvin Harrison or Caleb Williams. That's who it was going to be for the Bears to pick. Whether they traded back a pick or two, or or they just drafted Caleb like they did. So I believe that's going to be intriguing as well. Then you got, in week 3 as well, you got the Lions and Ravens, which is going to be a huge matchup as well. That could be Super Bowl implications in week 3, but it's going to be so early still. But yeah, those two games that I was looking at the most were Bears Packers Bears Commanders in week 6, and then Packers Eagles week 10.
I think that Lions Ravens matchup is going to tell us a lot about who the biggest contenders are at the start of the season because last year Baltimore was a whisker away again from making the Super Bowl. And I know we talked a lot about what they did this offseason on previous pods where they made some good moves. They got Jair Alexander in the building. This is their boomer bust year. If they don't win it this year, it's going to be tough to win it from here on out. But I think a really underrated game on here is going to be Bengals Broncos because we're going to see one of the best pass offenses in Cincinnati with T. Higgins and Jamar Chase go up against probably the best defense and best corner in the NFL with Patrick Surtain and all those other additions that the Broncos made on their defense. That'll be a really fun game to watch, just like it was last year.
Yeah, and is Cincinnati going to bounce back after missing the playoffs again? I mean, that team is just too talented roster construction wise to not make the playoffs. They're just way too talented of a team to not get there almost every single season. Last year might have just been a fluke. Last year might have been just one rough season that they've had. They brought back their whole team more or less, and Chase Brown is going to be in his second year. Chase Brown looked amazing last season. I don't know about you guys, but I'm buying in heavy on the Chase Brown stock if I'm a Bengals fan. So that game is going to be fun to watch. Another game that I think is going to be fun to watch is Tampa-Detroit, Week 7. Mm-hmm. That's another good one. Sam Darnold also getting a primetime game in Week 7 with the Seahawks up against the Texans. The Seahawks are going to be an interesting team to watch this year. I don't think they're going to be a fun team. I don't think they're going to be turning any heads, but they're going to be interesting because of the roster construction. They lose DK Metcalf. They lose Geno Smith. They actually, if I'm not mistaken, they trade him away to Vegas, and then he signs a contract extension. And that he might have been a free agent. I can't really remember off the top of my head, but they lose out on Geno Smith. They trade away DK Metcalf. They bring in Sam Darnold, who had the best year of his career. Finally looked like the 5th overall pick he was with the Jets. Granted, he's in a Kevin McConnell offense that was so easy for any quarterback to fit into. That's why I think J.J. McCarthy is going to end up being one of the better quarterbacks in that draft class because he fits so well into that system. And then they also had Cooper Kupp, who's a longtime Ram, first year not in L.A. This is going to be interesting for Cooper Kupp to see what his season looks like. And he's going to be working primarily out of the slot, too, against the Houston defense that's pretty all right in the secondary now. They've had some secondary issues in the past. They're pretty good now. That's going to be a fun game to watch, too, because of how interesting Seattle is going to be this year.
Yeah, I can agree. So what do we go say is the least game that you really don't care about?
New England versus New York. Just, I don't know, two teams that aren't great. That one really pops off the screen for me, I think, in terms of the like lower tier of games. I mean, you could maybe throw out like a 49ers Colts, depending on how the 49ers do this year, because I don't know what to expect from that team. Like, they could go back to going 12-5 this year and be a good team again just because McCaffrey's back. A lot of the injured guys are back, but they've lost a lot of talent the last few years. So getting back to that peak that they were at, almost winning the Super Bowl against the Chiefs, I just don't know if that's going to happen again, at least for the foreseeable future. They're going to have to reload some talent, I think, but it'll be interesting to see how they turn out this year. And I think Carolina is another upstart team as well, but definitely that New England, New York game. I don't know. I don't have a ton of interest in that.
Well, I honestly think that might be one of the more entertaining ones. But you got to look at it from two different perspectives. Number one, you look at it from both of these teams are just straight buns. And let's say we get to week 13, the Giants are 1-12 and the Patriots are 3-9, right? Patriots had their bye, Giants didn't. Let's say that's the case. You're looking at two teams that they're both trying to win the ball game, but one of them is going to have better odds of the first overall pick than the other after that game. And it's two teams of very similar competitive skill. That'd still be a fun game to watch, right? That's another one that you can just, because football is such an easy sport to just tune into any game you want. That's one of those games that it's going to be entertaining because of how bad both teams are, and it's still going to be a highly competitive matchup. Or you look at it from the perspective of the Giants might start turning things around. Depends on how Jackson Dart's playing ability is in the NFL. How well can he transition
if they
from a pro style
Jackson Dart?
Well, I think they will. I think they will. And Russell Wilson, Jameis Winston, sure. I think Jackson Dart will be starting by week 13, right? It depends on his transition from a kind of pro style offense at Ole Miss with Lane Kiffin up to the Giants with Brian Daboll. And then the Patriots, too. People are buying Patriots stock big time. They're thinking, like, the ceiling for this Patriots team this year is the 7 seed. I could very well see them going 9-8 and getting that 7 seed. In some world, it happens. Odds are they're probably going to be 5-12 again, but this is a game that could be fairly competitive. I think the biggest snooze fest out of all of these games is either going to be Dallas versus Vegas or Buffalo is going to beat the tar out of Atlanta. That game might not be interesting to watch at all. Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills, year in and year out, doesn't matter how that roster is constructed. Josh Allen's on the team. You're scoring 40 against a bad defense.
I think.
Go ahead.
I think another game that just doesn't really intrigue me that much, especially if Tyreek Hill gets traded, is that Pittsburgh versus Miami game. I don't know. Those teams are just they're mid is what they are. I think both of them are pretty mid. They're okay. They're 9-8 fodder is what they are. That's what they're destined to be right now. I don't think the Steelers are going to really move up from there at all. They're going to stay right around that average to slightly above average territory. Miami didn't get any better this offseason. They have one of their star wide receivers who wants out right now. One of the guys we talked about last week in that tier list. I don't know. That game just feels like a 17-14 slugfest all the way.
I would say the game that I least care about the most is that no disrespect to Justin Fields because I would love to watch him play, but that Jets and Dolphins game might be trash in week 4.
I was thinking something
depending
similar.
on the Dolphins, if they have a good offense and how Justin Fields look by week 4.
Well, this is the year they got to figure it out because I honestly, even if you go 9-8 or if you go 10-7 and you get knocked out of the playoffs right away again, Mike McDaniel's on the chopping block. He has to be. There hasn't been any real success with this guru that is Mike McDaniel. Now, don't get me wrong. He's a great head coach. However, you got to put your money where your mouth is. The whole league recognizes that Mike McDaniel is a terrific coach. But why has this very talented Dolphins team not been able to put it together and go far into the playoffs? Right? I'm not even talking about just the wild card route, like just getting there. I'm talking about at least winning a playoff game. They haven't been able to do that with Mike McDaniel just yet. And that's what I'm talking about putting your money where your mouth is. This Dolphins team has to do that this year, or Mike McDaniel's job is on the line.
And not only that, they gave Tua a huge extension, and he's been nothing but injury prone. He's shown a lot of flashes throughout his career of being a franchise level quarterback, but it's just all those concussions that he's had. I think they've started to affect his playing career a little bit, and he can't win in the cold either. That's another big thing. If you want to go deep in the AFC in January, you got to be able to win in the cold. You got to be able to win in Baltimore, Kansas City, or Buffalo, and he hasn't been able to do that yet. So that experiment with Tua and McDaniel could be coming to an end sooner than we think.
Well, we got one of our other guys that just popped in, Nazir Spencer. How was your weekend, buddy?
It was good, man. My bad I'm late. Work takes over.
No worries. I got work in about an hour anyway. So we the things we do for y'all is
no cap. But yeah, about those Dolphins, they're trash.
We want to say what's the most highly anticipated game that you're looking forward to?
Well, let me see. Well, that Chargers-Eagles game is going to be nice. Week 14.
Here we go.
Fun.
The bias is insane.
Oh, hold on. I'm excited.
I haven't even said Kansas City, Jacksonville. All right, I'm just gonna put it out there.
I'm not even done yet. I'm excited for the Packers-Eagles game. That's going to be fun. Yeah, I'm on your side too, buddy. And then I'm not gonna lie, that Bengals Broncos game is going to be very interesting because last year the Bengals lost. No, they beat the Broncos, but barely. I think, right?
Oh no, the Broncos beat them overtime.
Crazy game.
That was
Nix
like,
broke out. Yeah,
that was like it ruined their playoff hopes or whatever. But they were already pretty much out. But that game would have helped a lot. But yeah, the Broncos, they're very interesting for me to watch this year. I am excited for them, but I also don't want them to win because they're in our conference, obviously. But also week 8. keep an eye on that one. Jaden Daniels might outplay Patrick Mahomes for the first time.
That's a great one.
We haven't even talked about that one yet.
I'm a high Jaden Daniels believer because he is just unreal, and I think Patrick Mahomes is overrated. So that's just me. But yeah, that's my opinion. But that's I think that might be the game that I'm looking most forward to, ultimately, because the Commanders have a whole new team. The Chiefs don't really have a whole new team. They just have maybe a different O-line, maybe some different defensive pieces. But
they're getting older.
They're getting older. They're trying to run it back with that same team, but they're gonna run into a brick wall when they have to play a younger team. Also, sorry, one more. I just saw this crazy one right here. Week 3, we get an early matchup.
Yep.
Of the
I said that too. Yep.
And playing Detroit in Baltimore, which is really cool. So that's going to be a fun game. And yeah, back to your Dolphins one. I don't know why they made that a doubleheader against the Jets in the first place. That's not going to be fun to watch. Is
that your least one to watch?
I mean, yeah, it's just not. I mean, who wants to see Justin Fields play Tua? I don't see. I'm not excited for that game, especially when you have Joe Burrow versus Bo Nix. Those are better names to me right now than Tua and Justin Fields. No offense, Jalen. I know you like Justin Fields, but
no, I actually said that. I actually said that was one of my least favorite ones to watch. The least ones I would wanted to watch. I know I said that I didn't really care for that game anyway because I don't know how Justin Fields will look in that by week 4, and I don't really know, and I really don't care about the Dolphins at this moment in time because they look like trash anyway. So
for Monday Night Football, these are not bad games. Like usually these are awful, but these are pretty up to standard, I'd say. I mean, that week 16 one is pretty because Anthony Richardson.
Week 13 is pretty rare.
Nas, what do you think about week 1? Vikings Bears. That's got some serious implications already.
I love it. I think Vikings Bears, that's going to be an even better rivalry, especially with JJ coming to play. I just that new quarterback on the Vikings, no Sam Darnold anymore. I don't know, man. I don't know what to expect, but I expect Caleb Williams to go kind of off. Maybe this is kind of crazy to say, but I think Caleb Williams will be, just unreal this year for some reason. Under Ben Johnson, I think that'll help him a lot. But the Vikings still have the better team, I'd say. So it's going to be very interesting to see what Caleb Williams is able to accomplish against that team week 1, especially in division rivals like the Vikings. So it would be more exciting, in my opinion, if they played the Packers. But it's still a great matchup overall because it's a team that he struggled very much against.
Before we move on, I also said one of the big ones I wanted to watch was week 10 as well, and then week 6, which the Bears, the rematch between Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels.
That's the rematch of the Fail Mary.
Yeah.
Or whatever they want to call it.
That's an interesting one because the Bears probably should have won that game. They should have won that game.
Yeah, they should have won that game, but
they ruined their season. But Jaden Daniels, I still think he's got a lot more. He's just a little bit more talented right now than Caleb. Very, very.
I tried to tell somebody that, but
it's a little bit more. It was very interesting, but we'll have to see on that one.
And that's going to really test the theory of, is Jaden Daniels better than Caleb Williams? That's going to have some real implications.
It's only year 2, though. It's only year
2. No. But he would have beat you twice in head-to-head, and he made the NFC Championship.
That's going to really better overall last year.
Yeah, even though it's going to be week 2, it's still going to be some implications to be like, okay, this dude already didn't win the NFC Championship. You ain't even sniffed the playoffs yet.
What's your guys' least favorite? I didn't even get to hear yours.
I want to shout one more game out. I think if Michael Penix is not great this year for Atlanta, that week 17 game between the Rams and the Falcons could turn into a snoozer real quick.
I don't know, man.
I just think it will be already. I just think it will be. It's I don't know, because the Rams, like we said about the Chiefs, they just keep getting older and older and older. right?
Yeah,
So
they're so competitive every year, though. They should
But
have beat.
their defense is actually a lot younger
Yeah.
now with Jared Verse and some of those other guys that they picked up over the last year or two. Their defense is a lot younger. Is their
Their
offense
offense is a
older?
little-
Yeah, a little bit. However, the defense makes up for it. And that's how they were able to beat Minnesota last year, was just sacking Darnold so many freaking times at the end of that in that playoff game. They were just able to get constant pressure on the quarterback. And the Falcons also lost their center, Drew Dahlman. So we don't know how that line's going to hold up against Jared Verse and that Rams defense. So I think that one can turn into a snoozer pretty quick.
I don't know. I think that's going to be a playoff implication game, dude. Because the Falcons, they're not a bad team. They're young. They're really young. They're just like they're like the lesser version of the Commanders. I just think
it's there's playoff implications if you want to call it an upset, like an upset game against the Rams. I think the only team in that game that has any serious thoughts of going to the playoffs is LA. And I think LA might take a step back too. So that game is going to be, if LA wins, they're in the wild card race. If Atlanta wins, both teams are out.
Sam, do you know what division the Falcons are in? They literally only have to.
Yeah, Tampa Bay.
Just
Bay's
Tampa
division.
Bay. Yeah,
just Tampa Bay winning 13 games this year.
They're not winning 13 games this year.
They might mess around and win 13 games this year.
Tampa
Bay
they'll win 11 or 12.
This is the year
is
that Tampa Bay has to break out. Right?
Why?
We've been seeing. Well, Baker Mayfield is only getting better and better in his few years with Tampa Bay.
They're older too, if you want to think about that. Their wide receivers are older and injury prone. Baker's a little bit older. They're older.
I trust right now. If you were to ask me right now, I would trust Baker Mayfield to run a football team more than I'd trust an older Matthew Stafford.
Yeah. So,
whoa.
I mean, I don't know about that, but you take a Super Bowl champion over someone who's only won one playoff game.
I'm taking Baker Mayfield right now in this very moment. If you want to talk about career longevity, we want to talk about accolades across an entire career. Sure, I'll take Matthew Stafford, but right in this very moment, I am taking Baker Mayfield. I think he's got a better offense to work with than Matthew Stafford.
He still can't get past the first round or the division.
The Rams literally just practically made the Rams. Didn't the Rams make the playoffs?
The Rams signed Devontae Adams.
So did Tampa Bay.
They made the divisional round.
That's what I'm saying. Wait, didn't they play the Eagles?
No, yeah, they played the Eagles.
They almost beat the
They came back. They came back on the Eagles, and it was snowing so hard,
and
they still came back. They should have beat them, like the Packers should have beat them. So I don't know.
And 2 years ago, Baker Mayfield went toe-to-toe with the best offense in football in the Detroit Lions in the divisional round.
Yeah, lost.
They lost in the division. They did not lose in the first round. They beat the Eagles that year.
Lost in the divisional round by.
My pop said we can't say some stuff on this cast, but we can't post that. We cannot put that on the screen. But that's crazy.
No, there's nothing with that, dude. Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are a good football team.
Yes,
I would trust Baker Mayfield
right now in the Rams.
Why do you trust Baker Mayfield so much? I don't know.
Yeah, before we move on, let's get that out the way.
I love Baker Mayfield, but trusting him to lead them deep into the playoffs at this moment with that team that's getting older, their defense is not that great right now. I mean, I don't know exactly what you see right now. They were much better last year or 2 years ago when they played the Lions, like you said. Last year they weren't that great. They barely made the playoffs. They were fighting for a playoff spot against the Falcons.
And they still went toe-to-toe with the Commanders, who ended up being in the NFC Championship game. So, I mean, it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other.
Yeah.
Tampa Bay is still a good football team. I don't know why we're calling them mid. I don't know why we're calling Baker Mayfield mid. He's proven the last 2 years, including the year before that when he was with the Rams, that he is still a good quarterback. He's still a capable quarterback in this league. He threw for 4,000 yards last year, 30-plus touchdowns. I don't see what we're not seeing in Baker Mayfield.
I don't think we're calling him mid.
We're not calling him. We're not saying they're bad, but better than
Matthew Stafford is also far from mid. They're both better than mid.
We don't think that he has the team to surround him to push through the playoffs like Matthew Stafford does.
Matthew Stafford has a good team around him, yes. Baker Mayfield is a more talented quarterback right now in this very moment. I'm not talking about whole length of career. I'm not talking about the last 5 years, the last 10 years. I'm not talking about any of that crap. I'm talking right in this very moment. Baker Mayfield is a more talented quarterback than Matthew Stafford. I'm trusting him to lead my team into the playoffs more than I would Matthew Stafford right now.
I don't think
right now,
I don't think
on
Baker
July
Mayfield-
22nd, 2025, I'm trusting Baker Mayfield more right now than Matthew Stafford right now.
I don't think Baker Mayfield would have went toe-to-toe with the Eagles last year. I'll be honest with you, but that's just me.
He beat them in the playoffs 2 years ago.
Not in that
Similar,
environment.
almost the
Yeah,
exact same team outside of no Cooper DeJean. Almost the exact same team, and he beat them in the playoffs.
So you think that the Buccaneers would have won last year if they played the Eagles?
I think they would have went toe-to-toe with them again at least. I think they would have at least went toe-to-toe with them. I think Tampa Bay would have beaten Green Bay in the playoffs last year.
With the Eagles? No.
I think Tampa Bay would have. I think Tampa Bay would have beat Green Bay in the playoffs last year too.
Green Bay was not
Green Bay maybe, but
I disagree with that too. Green Bay should have won against the Eagles, but the Rams.
I disagree. I think Green Bay looked terrible at the end of last year. They didn't look good against Chicago, and they didn't look good against Philadelphia, at least offensively. The defense played well in that game, don't get me wrong, but the offense was not it. The only reason they even got points was because Josh Jacobs dragged them to the end zone, kicking and screaming.
I was going to say, there's a few things. Oh, stop it. Stop that right now. The Bears haven't done anything to prove that they're better than half the teams in the NFL right now. They're an exciting team going into – okay, our friend Jalen, all right? I just want to make it clear to you. They're an exciting team. I'm a Green Bay Packers fan at heart. And I can also say that the Bears are an exciting team to watch this year from an NFL fan perspective. Those two events are not mutually exclusive. However, Chicago has not done anything to show me that they're better than 2/3 of the teams in the NFC. I cannot say confidently just yet that the Bears are a top half team just in the NFC. I don't think they're a playoff team just yet. I think their ceiling is playoff team. I think their ceiling might even be messing around, and if the NFC North is somehow weak, like let's say Detroit runs into injury problems again and they can't figure it out, especially without Ben Johnson now. Let's say they fall off. Maybe the division is in reach and the Bears are a 4 seed. However,
no way the Lions are going to.
There's a world. Well, they lost both
Aaron Glenn and Ben Johnson.
They lost both of their coordinators, right? And Dan Johnson only take you so far, right? But that's besides the point. The Bears haven't shown me anything yet. Caleb Williams showed flashes last year, but he was not a great quarterback. Stop. They're not winning 11 games.
That's kind of.
Can we move on? I can't.
Absolute ceiling. The thing is about the Bears, there's a reason we make the off-season champions joke with them because they do this every year. They make
every year. You guys do this.
This year they were a bit more aggressive. They say their fans say that they're going to go, I don't know, 10-7, 11-6, 9-8, and every year it's blown up in their face. They start the year okay. Everyone figures them out, and then they struggle down the stretch. They didn't make any progress towards the end of last year. If anything, they looked better at the start of the season last year. So until they show us, the proof has to be in the pudding with the Chicago Bears. I think that there's a lot that could go well for them. They could definitely be a good team next year. There's no doubt about that. They have the talent now, but they have to show us, and it has to actually be put in the W column.
Now, Pops, I gotta rebuttal this. Hold on. He said 11 wins. Okay, let's see. Miami.
I think 7-10, 8-9.
Week 1. Okay, off
That's
rip.
preseason. That's preseason.
Okay.
Vikings week 1. Vikings.
Okay, you're right. Okay. Off rip, you have 2 divisional rivals. That might be 0-2.
It's 2 losses.
Losing both.
That's 2 losses. I'm not even gonna lie. You might play really well against the Lions, but you're losing against the Vikings. Maybe if the quarterback decides to play like crap because it's his first ever NFL game. So maybe you're 1-1. Who knows? Then you play Dallas.
That's a loss. You getting your ass whooped.
That's a pretty even game. Let's be real.
You're getting your ass whooped.
I think
they got
against the Cowboys. What are you talking about?
Jalen Johnson on him. Jalen Johnson is a good defense. He's one of the best corners in the NFL.
Oh my god, dude! Stop. That's Madden.
Well, the Bears, that's a
video game.
Madden is different. I will say the Bears do look like a good.
You had to see me.
The Bears are going to win 11 games. You're going to turn off your PS5 and go to bed. I mean, come on.
Look,
stop it.
Las Vegas Raiders week 4. That's a win. Okay, then you get an early bye, which sucks. Then you go back to Washington, loss. Okay. you go back home, play New Orleans, win. You go Baltimore. Well, we have 2 wins so far. Okay, we got go to Baltimore. Yeah, have fun. You're going. Then you go to
Cincinnati. Good luck, buddy.
Have fun.
This season could be over before it really gets going.
Right.
That's the
then
problem.
Then your third win is going to be against the Giants. Maybe. Who knows?
They'll win that.
They'll win. They'll beat the Giants.
Okay, they'll beat the Giants.
You got to give them a couple wins.
Then they'll go back to Minnesota. I think the Minnesota won't. They'll split. I'll be honest. Okay, that's 4 wins. Then you go to Pittsburgh.
That's a loss.
Pittsburgh comes to you. Aaron Rodgers.
I think they can beat Pittsburgh. That Pittsburgh offense is.
Aaron Rodgers owns
the owner of the Chicago Bears is returning on November 23rd, 2025.
What's that?
That's 4 wins. For the Bears, at least, that would be like the proverbial middle finger if they beat their owner, though. Right, it would be. So that game means a lot to them, I'm sure.
That's 4 wins, and we're at week 12. Okay.
I think we're at 5.
5? Hold on.
Raiders, Saints, Giants, Vikings, Steelers. So they're on a 3-game win streak
I think they're losing against the Steelers.
I think they can beat Pittsburgh.
Okay, they lose.
Okay, well, we can go 5. We can go 5. Okay, whatever. We can go 5. Okay, and then you go to Philadelphia. Have fun.
That's an L.
I'm not watching that game.
You go to Green Bay. That'll be a fun one. Okay, you might win the first one.
I think they split with the Packers.
I don't think they're winning Lambeau again. I think that's they're still at 5 wins. Okay, Cleveland Browns 6. Okay. Then you play Packers at home. That's 7 because you should have beat them last year. You go to San Francisco, have fun. But actually you might
win that one.
I'll give you 8. I'll give you 8
again.
And then
Detroit again, you lose. So
you can play the Lions. So you could have 9 wins at this year. Your schedule is absolutely ridiculous.
8 or 9 wins. Caleb 1-0 in Green Bay. Okay. Yup. Here we go.
You're gonna go 9.
All right, we gotta move on, bro. We'll be able to have some more.
I think that the Lions or the Bears could pull like. Do you guys remember when the Lions a couple of years ago started like 1-6, had a couple really, really unfortunate losses at the beginning of the year, and then went on a huge streak at the end to go 9-8? I think the Bears, if they're gonna be successful this year, that's gonna be what they have to do, just because the beginning of the year is so tough for them.
Hey, remember when the Jaguars were 3-8 in 2022, and I confidently said they're still winning that division? Just felt like I'd bring that back.
There's another example of that.
I feel like I'd just bring that back up again.